Hi, this is David back in the caverns here in the Dark series here in the Western Heritage Museum and the Lee County Cowboy Hall of Fame. I'm a naturalist. I like to get into the woods. I like to see my animals a lot more close and personal. I like to go to caves. I like to look at unique things. I like to look at stalactites and stalagmites and all the stuff that's in a cave environment. And I like to look at the creatures that, like in here you see the crickets, and you see, you may find albino crayfish in water pools. You may find a little catfish that's albino white with pink eyes that live in the dark, and they live in these environments. But these are usually in the front entrance of the cavern. As you get deeper and deeper into the cavern, you'll lose most of the ground dwelling animals and insects and things. But now when you have the bats living in a colony, you'll find life because there's a food source. There's a chain of life going on around here. But I want to talk about the bats, and some fun facts here are, they're the only true flying mammal. The babies on these free tail, or any bat, is known as a pup. And usually there's one pup for every mom. Very rarely do they throw twins, but generally they do one live birth. There's not an egg, this is not a bird. Most bats are very fast growing. They have to be, because they have to move south with the changing of the weather and the conditions of the country. So these babies are born in April and May, and then by late August, September, especially on the Mexican free-tails and Carlsbad, they are already out in flight with the moms and the dads. But the mother's milk is very richly laden with protein and elements from eating the insects and stuff. And so there is a great growth rate in the baby pups for them to mature out in short order time. They're ready to fly in 4 to 5 weeks, 6 weeks after birth. But usually they'll stay around in the cave until they mature out just a little longer. Okay, we have the colony that's got 1,000 plus bats or 10,000 bats. How does this mom right here find her pup? Every baby bat has their own smell that mom is imprinted on. It has its own squeak. Now, if you've been in a cave and bats are flying around in a place like that, they make a little squeaking sound like a mouse. And so she can detect that squeak because it's got enough voice variation that she knows that's her baby, and that scent is her baby. Now, in the pup environment, when they have a colony, if this is all pups up here, it's reported that 500 of those baby bats can be in a square foot. Now, you got to realize this is a small bat, and so that pup, that baby bat is probably not going to be any bigger than the end of my fingernail on my index finger. And so, I mean, because my mind is having a hard time reaching around 500 baby pups in a square foot, but they're going to be teeny weeny. Now, as they get bigger and they start growing, then more space is given out to them. And, they're not clustered together, and they stay in a cluster because it's protection, and they're staying together because it's a warmth factor. They give off some body heat, so they're staying warm. Again, in August, September, as these bats come out now with the adults and they're flying, they go out, they feed. Like I said, they go 60 miles around an area. And usually when they come out, they head straight for water. They're going to the Pecos River, they're going to a pond, they're going to maybe a river or a lake in Texas if you're seeing them down there. But they've got to have a drink of water. They fly down, they swoop down on top of the water surface, right over the edge of the water, and they dip down and get a drink. And they may do that 2 or 3 times to get a drink. They don't crawl down, they don't get on an edge and crawl up and get a drink. They're flying in flight, and they come down and graze the surface of the water. Echolocation, which is a part of the exhibit here, that sonar that they're giving is telling them how close to the water's edge they are, so they don't crash and burn. This is David in the Bat Cave at the Western Heritage Museum.